So I think we are ready to start. Hello, we are happy to be here today. We are going to share a story that almost every growing tech company experiences, but rarely talks about openly. How you transition from a small agile team to a massive organization without losing what made you effective. I'm Antonis, a software engineer and team leader, and with me is Yorgos, our product owner. We work at Novibet, an e-gaming company with presence in many countries worldwide. Over the last few years, we experienced significant growth. Our team scaled from just 10 people to around 60. Let's clear the air right away. This is not a theoretical tutorial on the Spotify model, and we are not here to tell you to just copy what we did. We are here to share our honest, real-world story of scaling, along with practical takeaways and the failures we faced along the way. Let's rewind a bit. When we were a small team, life was simple. We had one team, one backlog, and one daily stand-up. Everyone knew everything about the ongoing projects, and communication meant just talking to each other. Decisions were fast and informal, without time-consuming processes. What made us truly effective back then boils down to four things: total autonomy to solve problems, strong end-to-end ownership for maximum speed, zero coordination overhead, and high trust without heavy processes. These were the core elements we want to preserve as we grew. But there is a challenge. These things don't naturally scale. They emerge organically in small teams, but they break as you grow. And that's exactly what started happening to us. Growth hit us hard. Our daily stand-up suddenly ballooned to 15 or more people, and knowledge silos started forming. Making decisions was taking forever, and the question who owns this often had no answer. People started feeling lost or invisible in the crowd, especially the newest team members, since our onboarding process was too simple compared to the team size and needs. People who had been with us from the beginning started saying it doesn't feel the same anymore. So the trust we built was draining under the weight of coordination complexity. We quickly realized the harsh truth. We couldn't just keep adding people to the same team. We needed to fundamentally rethink how we were organized.
That's when we looked into the Spotify model. Not because it was a trend, but because it focuses on balancing autonomy with alignment. It gave us flexible building blocks designed for scaling engineering organizations, such as Novibet, rather than a strict rulebook. The core matrix looks like this. First, you have a tribe, which is a group of related squads. Inside, you have the squads, autonomous cross-functional teams. To ensure consistency, you have chapters, grouping people with the same role across squads, and guilds that are formed around a shared need or a big project. Before we go any further, we kept one crucial quote from Spotify themselves. They said, "Don't copy us, use this as an inspiration." And that's exactly what we try to do. First, we borrowed the squads, autonomous cross-functional teams of 8 to 12 people, with end-to-end ownership around a specific product area. Each squad has back-end developers, QA engineers, and a dedicated product owner. Some of the squads also include front-end and mobile developers. However, we need to define their boundaries, and we do this by domain. So we divide it into funds and wallet, KYC identity, authorization gateway, compliance risk, and internal tools. These 5 squads sit under the accounts tribe umbrella. To guide the tribe, we establish a leadership layer consisting of a tribe leader, a lead product owner, and a lead QA engineer. To maintain horizontal alignment and share knowledge, we use chapters. However, it is more than just talking. It's about consistency in tools and practices, ensuring that we don't end up with 5 different ways to solve the exact same problem. This makes it much easier for team members to move between squads. Most importantly, chapters provide a space where you can grow and learn within the tribe. Even if you are the only front-end or mobile developer, for example, in your squad, you are still belonging to a wider community of experts where you can learn and grow within the tribe. Guilds, on the other hand, are formed strictly on demand around a shared need or a big project. If a squad lacks a front-end or a mobile developer, for example, the guild brings them in. Once this project is completed, the guild is totally disbanded. Putting it all together, the accounts tribe looks like this diagram. Notice how the domain dictates the team's composition. KYC identity and authorization gateway are the 2 teams that have front-end and mobile developers, while the rest of the teams are purely back-end and QA engineers. The different colors here represent our chapters, and the purple line represents our guild, which keeps everyone connected within the tribe. Theory says that squads are independent. However, in reality, dependencies happen. To adapt, we require shared libraries and APIs to have clear ownership contracts. We try to identify early in our quarterly planning the dependencies between the squads. We form temporary task forces for big projects. These are the so-called guilds. And we try to encourage decoupled architecture to minimize the dependencies between the squads. For planning, the quarter sets the big picture based on domain fit and capacity of each squads. However, the squads plans its own sprints independently. To give you an example, last quarter, we had a compliance deadline that required 3 of our teams to participate. Our lead product owner stepped in, coordinated the high-level priority split within the tribe, but left the actual execution and sprint planning entirely up to the squads. To stay aligned without micromanaging, we have a 15-minute daily sync where we discuss just our blockers, a bi-weekly tech showcase where we demo what we shipped, and a tribe-wide quarterly retrospective discussing what worked and what needs to be adjusted.
We didn't change everything overnight. We transitioned in 4 phases. First, a pilot with just 2 squads, which, let's be honest, was a disappointment. We renamed teams, but everything remains the same. This taught us something important. Structure alone doesn't bring change. Then we took a step back and refined structure with clear domains and the services that each team would be responsible for. Next, we scaled up to 5 squads and introduced chapters for horizontal alignment. And finally, we have the refined phase, killing what didn't work and adjust what did. Speaking of killing what didn't work, here is a graveyard of ideas we abandoned early. Cross-tribe Slack channels quickly became notification noise that most people ignored. Large cross-squad planning sessions, which had high cost and provided low value. Forced cross-squad peer reviews, which killed our autonomy. And finally, some weekly PO alignment and sync meetings, which could have just been an email or a Slack message. We also threw away structures that look great on paper, but didn't actually work in practice. Forcing front-end and mobile engineers into every squad didn't make sense, especially for back-end heavy domains, since there were cases that people remained inactive for days. Rotating squad members for knowledge sharing actually killed ownership, and people didn't feel responsible for the long-term health of the project they were in. Having one product owner for the whole tribe created a huge requirements bottleneck. And finally, the uniform squad size, regardless of workload, ended with some teams being overstaffed while others were drowning. We realized that symmetry looks great in diagrams, but rarely works in practice. So did it work? Overall, yes. Our delivery is faster because squads ship independently without waiting on each other. Ownership is crystal clear. If something breaks, we know exactly who to call. We successfully grew from 10 to almost 60 people, and onboarding new engineers is now smooth and structured. But let's be honest, cross-squad alignment is still hard. It's better than it was, but it's something we continuously evolve, and honestly, we've accepted that it's never fully done. If you take anything away from our journey today, let it be these 5 points. Don't copy, adapt. Your context is unique. Preserve what works. Growth shouldn't kill your culture. Evolve continuously. What works for 20 people might not work for 60. Autonomy needs alignment. Freedom without direction is just chaos. And finally, the most important, listen to your teams. They usually see the problems long before management does. Thank you very much for your time. We are Antonis and Yorgos, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. I think you are hungry. Oh, we have a question.
Thanks for your talk. Because it's probably a management decision to change the structure of the entire business. So how did the team members took up that new model, or were there any things or any team members saying this is not good, why should we do this, or you had to convince them for this business model?
Yes, there were cases like that. People didn't expect the success that the new model brought to our team, but we asked to all of them to wait for the pilot period, let's say, and discuss the results that we will see, and they were surely convinced after comparing what would deliver before the transition compared to after the transition. Thank you very much, guys. Bye.